So first fight here versus Jiravin. Jiravin, shout out to you. Jiravin's a consistent watcher of my content, and he definitely appears on a lot of premieres. So yeah, I want to try you out. Jiravin is a fort. I think it's a mid fort. As a post commentary again, weird work week. So I had to do this while I was quote unquote working. Anyways, second time really running Green Armin, and since my first run of Green Armin in a previous war, I definitely saw, like, you know, where she's really useful, and so I actually swapped during the free equip event, swapped her gear, made her a lot better. This fight as well changed up the artifact I've been doing for these counter cancer comps. I call these cancer comps. If you guys have been watching my commentary on the past couple wars, I've had my thoughts on these kind of comps. I mean, they're really good. The only way you can do this is out bruiser, and you still have to get lucky in terms of landing debuffs and stuff. For this one though, after talking to a couple members of Trap House and even in Iggy, went with the violin tactic and not the Abyssal Crown tactic. I think it makes more sense if you run a Green Armin. Green Armin does so much debuffs, and she can guarantee a stun. Well, 100% stun if it doesn't get resisted. 100% stun if you can get a debuff on them prior, and because Dizzy is crazy debuffer, it can extend debuffs, and Green Armin does her own debuffs, not just the stun, but does her own debuffs on the S2. I went with the violin. Cuts down the threat, since Charles in this one would only focus on Dizzy, whereas in the past, if you guys seen my comps like this, ran Momo, Crow, and Dizzy. Then slowly replace Momo with Fire Akates. I think she's spectacular, probably in some fights really much better, especially ones you don't need immunity. In this case, the only flaw that I have here is the Green Armin really needed her turns, so if that Fallen Cecilia provoked her, that would have been bad. But the fight is really controlled. Also Fire Akates there, as you can see, did a 2-turn attack down. 2-turn debuffs are super good to bring into this fight with this kind of comp that I have. Again, just so that you can cycle the stun on Charles. And again, Charles always the biggest threat. Whether he's on counter set, speed set, and of course on Elber's Ritual Sword, always the biggest threat. And especially with this offensive comp that I brought, with Dizzy being the only ice, Charles would always go for her. But you watch this. This is pretty amazing. Like I was trying to get into the groove. Also not wasting soul burns when I don't need to here. This is pretty important with the Green Armin comp. All you need to do is make sure they're debuffed. They remain debuffed. That's it. The poison is a nice addition to Green Armin, and works a lot better than Abyssal Crown again, because for ML Cecilia, always getting that barrier up. If you can strip the barrier before ML Cecilia gets the turn, then the poison actually does damage. So technically, in some ways, a bit more effective than Crow. Crow's does 3 is like just too good. So I mean, Crow could do damage like quicker, but it's really situational, especially if you have a rod healer. That's the same problem with Momo and Fire Akates. Like Crow, if he has Aureus, most likely will always be the lowest damage, and so your timing has to be exact. And I actually don't mind this at all. I think what I would do for my offensive comps going to these kind of cancer comps is I'll probably like switch around with Crow and maybe Momo depending on the fight. If it's a Lilia's fight, I probably wouldn't bring Green Armin. Maybe, I don't know. If there is no attack buffer like Charles, like let's say it's SSB, RB, FCC. I've seen that as well. I think I would probably go with potentially go with like Crow Dizzy, but on Abyssal Crown, because there's only defense breaks, and if your Crow is built with high resist, which mine is now, there's only one defense break possibility, and that would be on the Dizzy. Well, unless the SSB is high effectiveness too.
I'll save you.
Anyways, as I comment and as I was doing these fights, and you know, those are the things that came to mind. I'm pretty sure a lot of people already figured that out, like before I did. But it took me like at least 2 wars now, the second war now with Green Armin here versus Jervin, for me to really realize her strengths. And I think Crow is definitely not off the table though. I would still say Crow is very good contender. AoE defense buff, and again, if he's built with high resistance, that's very good to do. That's very good to have. Look at that stun. It's very good. It does take her S1 EE to I think the EE description is something like if they're debuffed or something, like, or increases the stun chance of like 25 or something like that, 20%. Regardless, the calculation is that after they're debuffed, with the EE it's 100%. Without the EE, I think it's about 80%. So like, if they're debuffed, if they're not, it's already like 50% or something like that, like something really high. 60%, I think 60%. I'm not super well versed in Green Armin yet, again, second war, but it's still really high. So even if you don't land a debuff, the chances of you actually getting a stun is really high. My S2 right there for the poison and the blind is not molded, it's only the S1 at the moment. I'm considering molding the S2. It comes in really handy, but it's 85% without mola, and you have to mold it quite a bit in order to get the effect chance on Green Armin, so I'm not quite sure if I want to do that yet. But yeah, if you look at that, like Momo is great, but Fire Akates I think is becoming one of the best healers, even if you're going against ice, because she basically has only 1 turn that she'll actually get damage from an ice hero, and that's the one without the invincibility. So on this turn, but she's basically cycling back and forth, so it's pretty good. And you guys have seen this, the attack down on the Akates has been popping off pretty well. It happened to Charles like at least 2-3 times, and then 1 on ML Cecilia. It's very good. And also the poisons can stack, of course, so you get multiple poisons, you get a lot of more damage. Very good, this comp. See, look at that strip on the barrier there, and so on ML Cecilia's turn, look at that. On ML Cecilia's turn, she will get a lot of damage because of the poison scales on how much HP they have. So the higher HP, Jervin's FCC is actually built really well. The higher HP they have, the crazier it is in terms of poison damage. So I think she kills herself, if I'm not mistaken. Here. And yeah, of course, this is a very long fight, but I won't tell you guys the result of the war yet, but I'll show you at the end of the video. For those who don't know anything about this war, you probably won't know what the result is yet. But it's just very important that every single fight, at least in top end guild, that you get a win. And this is probably the safest way. I would say a 95% success rate with this comp. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she dies here. Yeah, there's extension on the poison there, so yeah, there you go. Yeah, 2,700 is not much, but it was enough. If I remember correctly, actually, I ignored RB for too long. So this is where Crow would be really useful. Crow is really good, especially near the end, where you're not taking a lot of damage, it's just 1 source of damage, let's say a debuffed RB. Then you don't need to really heal as much. You can time it, and then you can S3, so you can kill them off quicker. Green Armin struggles here. But again, if you're not running out of time, this is again very safe. Again, running Momo on this comp with Crow and Dizzy, the risk is, and I have lost like that before, the risk is the rod, heal up Crow, and then Momo is left vulnerable. Charles S2 with an attack buff, and your timing for the debuffs are off, it's over. This one's pretty simple. DN SSBC Armin, very good comp, taking out this kind of stuff, like made Chloe comps, unless they're heavy single target damage. SSB with DN is like probably the way to go. I've seen too many variations of this. Lilius, ML Chloe, SSB, SSB, ML Chloe, RB, SSB, ML Chloe, F Cecilia. A Robbie thrown in there as well. Generally packed with some kind of AoE damage on this team. And again, yeah, if you have C Armin, I mean, C Armin's so good. I'm so glad I finally got her. If you got C Armin, this makes a piece of cake. Very good damage mitigation for the entire team. Plus the 2-turn immunity and invincibility on the right turn is just amazing. Yeah, you guys have seen this over and over, but very effective team, so I definitely say that you should try this out. I love DN though, I love DN. It's always been useful from the get-go, and the more the meta shifts. There was a time where actually DN became not that usable when it was, I would say, the single target meta. Unless you bait away the damage. If it was like triple, let's say like Violet, Fire Ken, and I don't know what was the third DPS someone else used. I don't remember. But there was a heavy single target meta. There wasn't this sustainy cleave meta. It was either a fast cleave meta or a single target like bruiser meta. But yeah, now everything's going like cleave automatically. Here I use the SSB's damage share, and the Chloe is fast.
Let's advance together.
So I was racing pretty much to kill her off, but the Lilius didn't do that much damage. I don't think it was a cleave Lilius. Might have just been a pushback to Lilius, so people don't Oxlots or something like that. I'm not quite sure. Oxlot spez would be really good if that Lilius wasn't upgraded. But again, I had anti-crit buff on the entire time, so it's really hard to tell Lilius's damage, if she was built for damage at all. 20,000 HP? No, probably not. Yeah, probably just a speedy tank.
You through the light.
Yeah, that was pretty much my commentary for this fight here. But again, the Deviants are very good at attacking. Their attack is almost flawless. Hardly any of them got ints. It's pretty crazy. Got ints as in got draws. I know I get that asked every time. Alright, next fight. Second fight versus Denias. Denias was a stronghold on this fight. First time ever fighting Denias. I saw his second comp, and I'll comment on that when we get there. They did run a lot of Spectre Tenebria defense teams. It was like an ML Ken, I think Prevent Cleave, ML Ken, May Chloe, or ML Ken, Ruel, and Spectre Tenebria. It's interesting that they went with the Violin, which I do kind of agree. I guess that's probably the way to go here. But I'm not quite sure. Like, I mean, if it's Abyssal Crown, I would bring in this comp and nothing happens. I think Violin is the way to go. Stripping that attack buff is very important. I think for Spectre Tenebria, I think that's the thought process behind it. Yeah, I probably wouldn't even recommend anything else on that Spec Tenebria. So it's pretty good. This one I went straight forward because, like, in this fight, I usually save my S3 for ML Ken, but in this fight, I wanted to kill the Tenebria ASAP because of the strip. If it wasn't on the Violin, I probably wouldn't have S3 right there. I usually like to save the S3 and soul burn the S3 so Ken doesn't get a buff or doesn't get healed by a Sigurd site. It's just, to me, a little bit less risky. But in this case, Spec Tenny was probably the biggest threat, because that strip was just too crazy. Yeah, but she's pretty squish. I mean, there's not much Spec Tenny can do. She is a damage dealer after all. If she didn't do damage and was beefier, the fight would pose no threat. Oh yeah, the resistance on the Mayclo is way too low. Makes the team a lot more susceptible to this kind of comp. I was mentioning this on an account review on someone else's. I think it was a Ruel. Effect resistance wasn't there, and I was telling them that you're just gonna be abused by SSB. Yeah, two limited heroes, mind you. Yeah, this one I was just looking at when is the revive. So I was like, okay, I'll kill her off since MLKen is not in a Doesn't have an attack buff, so Cigar Scythe can't do much. And I was just banking on the risk that none of my other damage dealers had no crit rate. Although in this part you could take a look at that. Yeah, I got lucky there. Okay, the second one is interesting because at the point of this recording, Cerise has just been released. So it's clear, 14,000 HP there, as you can see. Boom, but no strip. That was one of the flaws I was saying. Like, she'd be really good conceptually, but I mean, you have to build her really good effectiveness as well. Effectiveness, speed, and then looks like Denias went for an HP right side. Most likely a necklace, maybe necklace or a ring. But yeah, she needs high effectiveness if you want her to work here. The team comp I brought here is the same I would bring to an SSB Charles MLCC, but this one has less threat because it's Cerise. Even if she was built as a cleaver, she wouldn't have done damage. But I can see what Denias is going for. I think he's going for the anti-cleave because a lot of people started cleaving the SSB Charles MLCC comps. So it kind of makes sense that, you know, but it could be tunnel vision. A lot of us, when we're building teams, we have tunnel vision. We take what our old comp was, and then we're just like, okay, how is this being countered? And then you build just straight for that. But anyways, every single defense, this is why again, the Deviants were really good at attacking because yeah, top players just know exactly pretty much what to do. Only RNG can throw them off. But in this case, I don't think there's much RNG except from the Charles. I will say though, the Cerise, I mean, looking at it in action, definitely does impress me in terms of how many turns she can get. Now, I don't know what exact, yeah, the Elbrus. I mean, this was one of the things that we were saying with Cerise. So one of her weaknesses again will be Charles, but she has Guiding Light, and the Guiding Light happens after the turn, like fully. So it's actually not bad. Just seeing how the mechanic works on this is pretty good. So I would say this is as much of a review I would give to Cerise as possible because I'm not planning on using her. I think that she can work on defense comps, just not this one. And I can't really think of one right now. But anyways, good fight, Denias. That's a good fight. Yeah, so for this last one, it's kind of cool. I was talking to a couple talentless guys for this last fight. I finished Stronghold, finished a fort, and the other fort wasn't open yet. It was the last one. And apparently Rico Suave, I know I've spoken to you, Rico, so if you see this video, that you come to my stream sometime and say hi, and I didn't even know, man, you're a fighting game like champion or something like that. Anyways, I heard like crazy stuff. So, but I was talking to a couple of talentless guys. They're saying like, oh, attack Rico, he's one of the best players. So I'm like, okay, I'll attack him for content. For this last fight, I used F Maya on the top, whereas in the Denias fight, you saw me use C Armin. They were saying that F Maya would be really good because she's an extra DPS. Now at the point of this recording, I have swapped my F Maya to full damage build in terms of like crit damage neck that works. You guys will see it in the RTA video. I think I'm going to be posting it after this video. So if you check it out later, you'll see how much damage my F Maya can do. But in this fight, I did swap her to health neck. She still has high damage, health neck with adamant shield. Same concept, but the problem is like one less buff to strip, and I was pretty sure that the Spec Tenebria was also on violin. And again, it just doesn't make sense that she's on Abyssal Crown. Most people high end run immunity anyway, or run some kind of immunity buffer. So I went in with this one, and it was a good call on from the talentless guys to go with this. I was kind of hesitant on bringing F Maya, but they were like, oh, she's an extra DPS to finish off that Ruel if you need. And I'm like, I guess so. She's still currently on a counter set in this fight.
Don't be afraid.
So basically I had a counter crit damage neck, counter health neck, and I just basically swapped them. Yeah, it was an Isle of Island, yeah. Basically swapped them around. So just to have that handy. And this one which was harder because I couldn't really just S3 ML Ken unless I want to get beat in the face, and it was just too risky with Spectre Tenebria having two targets. This one was a bit risk when I saw this because the defense breaks. And it was a good thing that my, of course, DN is fast, so... But, so here I was like thinking, I'm like, you know, my S3 could do that damage. And I'm like, boom, like half HP right there. Pretty good. F Maya right now is like super crazy. Now this was a bit risky though. I didn't think about that because she got the other turn. I have to get used to that, to be honest. When you kill, you get an extra turn. It could actually screw you up. So I was actually chasing the heal for this fight. Because again, I'm vulnerable now because I can't S3. But at this point I was like, okay, S3 is the only way to go. Because if I can heal block him, potentially I can kill him with an F Maya. But I got lucky. I actually was like, wow, I got lucky, man. There you go. Sometimes it's good not to have crit rate, because that ML cam would have beat me to a pulp. There was an adamant shield on the F Maya on this fight, just to mitigate the damage for SSB. But regardless, everything else went okay on that one. That was a bit lucky, I would have to say. Definitely not big brained. A bit lucky.
I was born to fight.
Yeah, and just for Rico, I rebuilt Fire Ken just for this fight. It was quite an interesting one. As the playthrough goes through, I will comment on it. There was no immunity on the Charles, but I assumed that Rico thought that ML Crozet will cleanse the Charles. In my recollection though, ML Crozet does the buff not on the backliner but on the lowest HP, I think. Actually no, I might be wrong. No, I might be wrong, but I think the thought process, no matter what, whether I'm right or wrong, is that he would cleanse the Charles before Charles gets a turn. The Charles is clearly on a counter set when I saw this, so yeah, I'm not quite sure because I did hit Charles, so he is the lowest HP. But in case it wasn't, if someone can comment on the YouTube comments, let me know. I don't have ML Crozet, but if I remember correctly, fighting a couple AI, he does buff the one that's weakest in terms of like HP, not the backliner. But if that's the case, then Rico's Charles should be on immunity, at least in this comp.
I won't lose. Round and round.
Yeah, again shows the power of Fire Akates here with a good rod. My rod on her, because I have two rods. One is 29, that was on DN, because DN doesn't have actual heals, so I needed the 29. For the Fire Akates in this fight, I was using a plus 15 rod. But I think the more I use Fire Akates, she needs a higher duty rod as well, especially on her S2 turn here. This one, the base heal is too low, and you really are just using the rod heal. The good thing is, of course, both of my DPS, Krau and Ken, are high HP, so with a 15 rod, it still heals quite a bit. But ideally, that rod should be higher. I'm definitely gonna spend the next couple of my raid currency purchasing the epic artifact charms. Not hell raid, regular raid. Here I was debating again. There's a 40% damage mitigation or damage share with that ML Crozet, so that Charles is really hard to kill off. This was a bit risky. Again, 150 resistance Charles resisted that, but it didn't matter because that was the end of my my defense buff. This one, I was blind. No matter what, I was screwed. I was trying to go for the stun on the Kayron, but I missed. Going for the stun on the Kayron, I was trying to avoid him, because the lower HP he has, the more damage he does too, and I did not want my Ken to die. This was super risky. Look at this. Getting the vigor buff up, no matter what, was the way to go. Since you were blind anyways, it doesn't matter if you S1 or S2. But the vigor buff had extra defense there. And the Aureus, that final sliver of health on Krau, helped sustain the damage. Otherwise, I would have lost, clearly. Kill off that Kayron, and then you allow the elemental disadvantage to take over. So you had to get really lucky as well. And I will say this, on Rico, I think on both fights, I got lucky. It could have went the other way. I still say that my decision on S3ing with F Maya was the wrong way to do for the top fight for Ruel. It was too risky for ML Ken, but I got lucky. This one I'm getting lucky because the elemental disadvantage that Charles has against my heroes there. But Ken, I rebuilt. I built him a long time ago. I stopped using him, totally stripped him. He's at +3 S1, +3 S3 Mola, none on the S2. He has Draco plate on this fight too.
Everyone, I'll save you.
But on every single turn that Charles gets the S2, like the smash proc, I was able to, he was able to miss, so that was good. Yeah, and then the Ken I built here was actually really fast, 190 speed, with decent damage. So that with the speed buff there, I was able to turn cycle really quick. I don't think I was actually off a vigor turn. I think it's because he got attacked so much like this, so he kept on getting his fighting spirit.
For the goddess.
Yeah, I was looking at this, I'm like, was there anything else I needed to do? I'm like, no, it's okay, it's over.
Spread wings of light.
This fight, I have to say, at the beginning, I was hesitating for a long time. Look at that, that's so lucky. The damage mitigation from ML Cross is amazing. But anyways, at the beginning of this fight, I was hesitating for a long time because I was actually trying to see, I was trying to guess what would happen second and third turn in. But it's really hard to predict, and that's where some of the top players can start losing these fights. I mean, you bring the perfect comp, and some RNG will throw you off, and some speed tuning and whatnot. So yeah, this at the end, this was auto. Yeah, so it was a very interesting fight. I haven't fought ML Crozis in a while, but I have to say this was an effective ML Crozis team. The last couple ones I've seen in the past, like other guilds, like people running like one damage dealer, and it was like a Maid Chloe, and for some reason they put the Maid Chloe in the back line, and like Charles was like in the front or something. It was like easy Lilibet, boom, it's over. This one was definitely a bit more difficult. Kayron is good. Kayron is just too good. Anyways, that's the fight with Rico. He killed my Crow, so I was a bit shaken. But yeah, the healing output on the Fire Kates is just insane. Yeah, I think that was it. So yeah, for this is again commentary post-war. So in the next clip, I'll show you guys what happened in terms of the war result. It was really crazy throughout the day. It was really crazy. All right, so this is post-war. I already know the Havoc, but I have no idea what happens on this. So you guys get to see this live with me. It says it's a victory, but it is tied. That is pretty crazy. In terms of, so I got one draw and 2 losses versus Deviants. Actually, hold on one sec. How do you pronounce that? Wait one sec. Either way, it's one or the other. I was gonna search it up, but whatever. Yeah, Deviants, I think, or Deviants. This is the first time I actually fought Denias's guild. I always knew them to be a strong guild. I never actually fought them throughout all of my guild wars, so that's quite interesting. And then three wins. So where does that put us right now? Today's Saturday. No, never mind. I can't see it. I won't be able to see the actual result until tomorrow. But I think from what I heard is that if you're tied, both sides says victory, and both sides don't go up and down the rank, I guess. It just depends on the other guilds. Anyways, regardless, that's a really good, really crazy war, very crazy war. But yeah, I think, again, shout out to my guildmates, very good. They actually wanted me to show our quote-unquote report wall. Hold on, wait, let me just read it. I have Guild War notes. I think there was like one person. They were just trying to Oh wait, it says I think they're joking. This is a team 1. Watch out for mage. She cleanses every turn. I think max potion val. That was it. Best bit news. But it was a good war, regardless. But that's pretty good because Deviants was at top 4 at this point, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna stay there. Super crazy good attackers. They just like failed nothing, which is so crazy. Anyways, we're gonna end this for the video recording sake. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.